Apple dropped new iPads off their website early Tuesday, but is it worth the upgrade or is it just more vaporware? Hello and welcome back. It's VLD. Let's get started. Apple announced new updates for their iPad Pro line with the M2 processor, and they also did a hard refresh for the entry-level iPad. Are they worth the upgrade, or should you stick with your older models? Today, I will break down what iPads to get, what to avoid, just the head scratchers in the room. iOS 16 for iPads will drop October 24th, which is next Monday. Stage Manager, Calculator app, and Weather app. Oh, the joys of being an Apple fan. The iPad line has gotten very confusing over the last couple years. Like their iPhone line, they have branched out in different markets and categories. But is it really worth it? I remember when they announced the first iPad on stage, Steve Jobs held up the first iPad in 2010. You also got a yearly refresh like the typical iPhone. Just one, not 7 releases. It was pretty much cut and dry. Now you get 5 refreshes yearly for iPads and iPhones. It can be quite confusing. It's kind of like their MacBook lineup. That has even gotten more confusing, and I've gotten, I believe, to a point with Apple. They've released so many products, it confuses the general public. 10, 15 years ago, they had each line simplified for each target consumer, but now it's just kind of overstuffed with so many choices. Sometimes I feel as if Apple is releasing more flagships than Samsung. Remember those days where Samsung had 20 variations of the same flagship? Since the S1 Galaxy, there was one different variation for each carrier. Even throughout the years, it's gotten worse. The S4 lineup had even more variations of the same phone, with minor differences. Eventually, Samsung scaled back, and they've learned from their mistakes. I feel as if Apple is doing the same mistakes Samsung has done. The cheapest one is the entry-level iPad 9th generation with a 10.2-inch screen. It is rocking an A13 Bionic chip. It is the only iPad that comes with a home button. It has no smart connector, and is the last iPad with a Lightning port. Even the love between Apple and Lightning, their affair with USB Type-C, it splits category lines, and it's even more confusing. The 9th generation iPad also uses the 1st generation Apple Pencil, and you can pick it up for $329. It usually goes on sale for $299, sometimes $279. You are only given 64 gigabytes of storage. If you want 256 gigabytes, it will run you $479. This is a perfect device for just media consumption. It is a light computer for basic typing, drawing. It is perfect for any young kids, students, or grandma. You can always pick up a cheap, decent Bluetooth keyboard. The only downside is that it uses Lightning. You have no USB hubs, no HDMI out, Apple Pencil 1 support, and it has a non-laminated screen, which that means there is a small air gap between the glass and the actual LCD panel. All the other iPads have a laminated screen, so there is no gap. For being a budget tablet, this has sold so well. I want to go on a limb and say you can only use the Apple Pencil 1 with non-laminated screens because the 10th generation came out with support for only the Apple Pencil 1, which it kind of lines up with everything. The new 10th generation iPad is $449, and it is rocking an A14 Bionic chip. Smart connector on the bottom, USB Type-C, and is the first iPad to offer horizontal cameras. It should have done this a couple years ago. It has multiple colors like the iPhone 5C. The base storage is 64 gigabytes. 256 gigabytes of storage will run you $599. It is rocking a 10.9-inch screen. It also has a non-laminated screen like the 9th generation. There is a gap between the glass and the screen. It has the same design language as iPad Air. It is a decent entry-level tablet, but it has no M1 chip inside of it, so it's already outdated. No Stage Manager, and in 16.1, there is support for external monitors more than just screen mirroring. Apple is keeping the 9th generation around because it hits that sweet spot. This one seems half-baked, dated, with current features for a brand new product line that doesn't offer the latest and greatest. The accessories are another headache. Everyday consumers, on the other hand, will get even more confused. It looks like an Air, it smells like an Air, and tastes like an Air, but it is not an iPad Air. It only uses the Apple Pencil Generation 1 with Lightning, so you have to buy a separate adapter to charge it. Lightning to USB Type-C adapter. One does come in the box, but if you lose it, you have to buy a separate one, and if you do, you have no other way of charging. Even the Logitech Crayon has USB Type-C now. If the accessory partners can get it down, why can't Apple? The second was thinner, better battery life, and sits on top of any iPad that does support it. Even the Mini 6 supports the Pencil too, so yeah, that makes 0 cents. For $50 more for the Mini 6, the Magic Keyboard Folio is another head scratcher. The smart connector is on the bottom and not on the back like the Pros and the Air, so pre-existing keyboard cases will not work whatsoever. It is another dedicated accessory limited to one product line instead of being universal with the other tab. So it would make sense to have one keyboard for all of them. It makes this keyboard case even more limited because the Magic Keyboard will work with any of them, but this one won't. $250 for being a dedicated keyboard case. This is where everything gets kind of murky, and you're still better off buying a refurbished iPad Air 4. It is the same thing, can the same E14 chipset, same battery, same cameras, and it also comes with a laminated screen. I don't really quite know what their target market is for this entry-level iPad. It's a $120 price increase that honestly makes it compete with the Air at this price point. You get the Apple Pencil, a smart connector, that's over $800. If you get 5G, 256 gigabytes of storage, you're looking at $1,200 for an entry-level iPad. This product, buy the entry-level one. It's cheaper, and you probably won't even notice the difference doing about any day-to-day activities. Right now, if you go on Amazon, eBay, you can pick up a 4th generation iPad or 5th gen for around $400. Even Apple's refurbished website has them for a very competitive price point. Pencil 2 support A14 or M1, that alone makes it worth it. If you have multiple iPads, one stylus to rule them all, get the Air 4 or 5 at this point. The next iPad in this lineup is the iPad Mini 6th generation 8.3 inch. Now for about a year or so now, and it is still my favorite iPad. It's like a bigger iPhone, but better. It's for someone who wants a small tablet that you can travel with. It knows it's not an all-star, but not a bench warmer at the same time. It's like the little train that said screw it. They've neglected it for a couple of generations, but they eventually showed some love and redesigned it last year to make it more modern with the current lineup. Given the 1st through the 4th generation has had yearly updates, and the 5th came out 4 years later, and the 6th came out 2 years after that. So if they came out with a 7th generation, it would probably be 2023 at the earliest. The iPad Mini 6 has a market for itself that's defined by its size. Do you want a bigger tablet than your phone or a smaller tablet that's quite pocketable? You can pick it up on sale for $399. Next year, if they refresh it, I would love for it to have an M1. That would be my wish list, and maybe increase the screen size to 9 inches. That would be my dream device for the iPad Mini 7. The 4th iPad in the lineup is the iPad Air. This was supposed to be more the average all-around iPad for people who want extra power compared to the entry-level one, but they don't want a Pro. This kind of fits that demographic. It is like the MacBook Air, which gives you a taste of the ecosystem, but not all the power. If you want the best of the best, you have to jump that barrier to the Pro line. There has been many criticisms between this and the 11-inch Pro. Between the two of them, there's not really much difference. Screen refresh at 120 Hz, better speakers, more real estate. The new Pros have the M2 processor, which gives you a 15% boost. Rendering with video, Photoshop, or 3D modeling will be a little bit faster. You can pick this up for $599 right now. This does use the Apple Pencil 2. It does have USB Type-C. The price point between this and the new 10th generation is only $150. And if you want to future-proof your iPad, if you are not rocking the M1 chip, you do not get all the best features. If you buy an expensive tablet, you want all the features for the next couple years to come. If you are looking to jump into the Apple ecosystem, this is the only tablet for you. You get all the bells and whistles. You get all the great same accessories that the Pros use. On Best Buy's website, you can get an open box Air 5 right now for $480. Even Apple's refurbished website, they offer them for about $500. If you buy a refurbished, usually you are given a warranty. Even Amazon, you can get a Air 5 for about $400 with a 90-day warranty. The 5th and 6th iPad you can purchase right now are the iPad Pro lineup with the new M2 chip, which is basically a Ferrari with training wheels. It has so much power behind it, but with really crippling software. You have no real dedicated apps that can really take advantage of the chipset. And if you get 1 terabyte of storage, you do get 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is overkill, but what are you really going to use all that for exactly? Both Pros come with Wi-Fi 6E, which is faster and better connection. It can shoot in ProRes video recording now, but it's a tablet. It's way too big and kind of awkward. The DaVinci Resolve is coming for the iPad lineup here in the near future. It's not confirmed if it's an iPad M2 exclusive or if it's available for all the Pros or all the iPads. LumaFusion is probably crying in a corner right now. DaVinci Resolve is a beast and hopefully will be a trend of pro level apps coming to the iPad lineup. The new media engine in the M2 will be 15% faster, but it's an iPad, so software will kind of hold it back. The cameras aren't horizontal, they are vertical. I feel as if they are doing a redesign next year, taking cues from the 10th generation iPad as a blueprint. I want to guess that the smart connector will be on the bottom of the iPads, just like the Surface line that Microsoft has released, and the cameras will be horizontal. That makes even more sense because you hold your tablet in horizontal, not so much vertical. They have been using the same design language for about 4 or 5 years now, and I feel as if it's time for an update. This year is just a soft S refresh, just to get something new out of the market for the holidays. The new Pro line 11-inch is $799 right now. It starts off with 128 gigabytes of storage. You can go up to 2 terabytes of storage for $1899. This is an only LCD panel with 120 Hz refresh, quad speakers, dual cameras, and LiDAR. Thunderbolt support for even faster data speeds, the Magic Keyboard, all the great accessories. It is an all-around a great travel iPad. Apple has been pushing the iPads as a computer replacement. They can do some of the stuff, but not everything. They are fantastic iPads, but lackluster computers. The difference between this and the Air are minor, but with each revision, pushes them further and further apart. Even now, if you want the best of the best, the iPad Pro 11-inch is fine, especially with M2. If you want some power and budget-centric, the Air is the way to go. Besides the refresh, the Pro, compared to the Air, has better speakers, slightly bigger screen, the new M2 chip, and the 120 Hz refresh display, which you'll be paying an extra $200 more for those premium features. It's a very, very soft refresh. Getting to the big boy in the room, you have the iPad Pro 12.9-inch, which I do own. I wanted the bigger one as a laptop replacement. It can't do quite everything. Fun fact, a lot of people who do own the 12.9-inch also have a Mini 6. That's just something we do. You can pick this up right now for $1099 with 128 gigabytes of storage. You can go up to 2 terabytes of storage for $2199. If you own any of the 3rd or 4th generation Pros, it might be worth an upgrade, but if you own the 5th gen, I don't really recommend it. You won't really notice any differences. The 12.9-inch is the only iPad with micro LED. It gets super bright and blacks really show. For some people, they have had issues with micro blooming. If you want the top of the line iPad, the 12.9-inch is the one to go for. There are rumors that Apple might release a 15-inch iPad down the road, so a 3rd Pro in the lineup. In conclusion, if you are looking for an iPad to jump into the Apple ecosystem, get them the 9th generation iPad. It is the cheapest one. It's a good starting out device. The next step up is the 10th generation iPad. I would recommend, just to avoid this one, and buy an Air plus future proofing with M1 chipset for all the best features. Only 2 iPads that don't have this are the 9th and 10th generation, the iPad Mini 6. That might change next year. If you want a Pro, get a Pro, but if you want an all-around iPad that's budget-centric, by all means, the Air hits that category. If you want a small, travel-friendly iPad, get the Mini 6. Like the black sheep of the family, if you want the biggest iPad with the most real estate, get the 12.9-inch Pro. That's every iPad broken down in a nutshell. If I was looking to buy an iPad tomorrow, I would probably go with the Air. It's the best all-around iPad while being price conscious. Plus the M1 chipset for future-proofing. If you're looking for the biggest one, get the 12.9-inch. I do recommend avoiding the 10th generation and then the Pro 11-inch. There isn't much to really justify those prices. The Air kind of fits that middle ground. Plus side about this update, the polishing cloth is compatible with any iPad. It is the only universal accessory. So like always, I'm your host, VLD, signing out. Peace.